Richard Crouse.
Do we have questions from the audience? I know we do. Okay, I'll start here. I'll get to everybody. I'll start here, though.
Well, first of all, I think you guys are pushing the boundaries of awkwardness without going over. What I was wondering is, how concerned were you guys with continuity, or was it just about bringing the best performance you can from the actors, regardless of what was going on around them?
Question was about continuity while you're improvising. Jay and I have an editorial background, so we kind of keep a little bit of a log in our head about what we like and what we think the scene is going to be about. Jay is also one of our main cameramen, so from a technical standpoint, he's there making sure we've got the coverage. But the main sort of ethic of the way we work is we have multiple cameras rolling at all times, and that when the moment happens, we've got a camera on each person's face so that we don't have to repeat it. It's not about rehearsing the scenes before we get in there and then trying to duplicate the moment on set. It's about keeping everything fresh, uncertain, raw, and then when it happens, we're right there and we've got it all covered.
Is that the same technique that you used on? Is that the same technique that you used on your earlier films, or is that
exact same?
Yeah. There was another. Yeah, go ahead. I'll get to you.
A technique you used really stood out was when sort of John and Molly were in their intimate moments. The dialogue didn't necessarily play with them. Was that something you had originally conceived in the writing, or did it just come about perhaps in the suite?
That was an editorial decision later on. I mean, the scenes, I don't want to say they weren't working, but there was, I can't describe it.
They were different than what we needed.
They were different, yeah, and we needed something extra special, and we needed to create moments that created time, actually, so that your mind would read into this long night that they had together. Those were usually scenes that would happen normally within a 2.5 minute span, but we, especially like that first scene, that was the first impetus to create it. Is, Mark and I were watching it and we were like, we need to really build this connection between them. The chemistry is obviously there. No one's going to question that. But we really wanted the sense that they had spent all night together and talked about really intimate and special things, and that they had that. We've all had that, where you spend one long period of time with someone you feel like you've known them your whole life. We needed to create that, and so it came up in editorial. Our editor kind of made this magical thing happen, and we realized, once it happened, we were looking for other places to do it again.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I understand the symbolism of the shoes, but I'd love to hear how you feel about that symbolism.
The question was the symbolism of the shoes, and I'd be curious to hear your take, because I don't think that we necessarily understand the symbolism. I'm being brutally honest, totally honest. For us, the shoes was a later part of the script, honestly. We added it much later on before we shot, because, there's this term that we use that we call the epically small, that we're obsessed with. And it's the smallest thing that can get people's goat. And for us, the shoes were a nice representation, of something small that hopefully the audience wouldn't think too strangely about when they were missing, but big enough that they'd remember them when it came back up again. And so it was more from a functional standpoint. What were your thoughts on the shoe stuff?
Well, it seems the most practical. You could choose glasses, but
Yeah.
everyone wears glasses. But, John, are you walking in mine? John, are you walking
Right.
in mine?
In terms of the shoes, like being in someone's shoes kind of thing. Yeah, we're thinking about that too. That's us. We're always thinking of metaphors and similes and shit.
I love the idea of the epically small. If you want to take over a country, cut off people's cable. That's how you start with that.
Those tiny little things.
It's those tiny little things that get people.
It's not that small.
I don't know whether it was done by design, but I found the camera work. I was looking for my seasick pills because of my whole vestibular. I was becoming almost to a degree nauseous. Was that done on purpose in terms of focus, pulling in and out, the pitching and the rolling? And for me personally, I found that to be distracting with otherwise what I consider to be a sound film. So I'm just wondering whether that was by design or was that just the way you photographed the film?
This question was, why the hell would you ruin the movie with such shitty camera work?
I think that's it. I think that's what he was asking.
Some people, I think that's fair. It's a legitimate point. Some people feel that way about it, and some people don't care about it, and some people love it. For us, it is a bit of a functional. It's not like we're trying to be edgy and MTV and cool. It's that we shoot without blocking, and when you shoot without blocking, your actors are free to go and do places, and they come up with surprises that you could never imagine. So the film that you love would not be possible without shooting it this way. It's a necessary, some would say evil, I think you would, some would say cool byproduct, some would say whatever. But they are one and the same because the zoom lenses allow us to go and find our actors in their private little moments and not bring them to us in a well-lit, shot with a prime lens way that, in our experience, causes stagey acting.
But the shooting that way, though, I mean, you must have to light the entire room differently. Like, there's a lot of different things that
yeah,
probably
lighting
go into
is
that.
different. We have to prepare the room, and it's definitely a little bit more challenging. I mean, when we made our smaller movies with little digital cameras, we just didn't light anything. We just people would go and do their thing, and then we would run around like documentary filmmakers and capture as it happened. But it is more challenging on a studio set, especially with actresses who require to be represented in a certain light. Figuratively.
Like who?
But it's the only way we know how to work. It's the only way we know how to achieve the kind of storytelling, the kind of performances. And it's really the only way to piss you off because we knew you were coming. And,
Richard